Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game. Ren here, and if you're a fan of RPGs and general discussions about the games we all know and love, then you've definitely found friends in this channel. We post at least one video a week on topics from pickup videos, new releases, to just games that have reached hallowed status in my heart. So thank you so much for watching, and let's get into my 5 underrated Switch games. Let's check it out. Number 5. Fate Extella Link. What an incredible pickup for me. This was a blind buy from my local game store. And you know what? It is full of some big old JRPG tropes, but the character designs are so unique and funny. The voice acting is thoroughly enjoyable, and it adds to the game's presentation. The story is presented in a visual novel format, but to be honest, the voice acting is so surprisingly good in this game, the method of storytelling never bothered me. Usually I'm here for the gameplay, but I'll admit this story made me laugh in a good way on a couple occasions. Performance is really good in this game, and it was never an issue for me. Massive explosions of enemies and over the tippy top of the mountain combat animations, they're so smooth and satisfying. There is something so therapeutic about devastating hordes of baddies. The combat in Fate Extella Link is a simplified version of the Musou genre, but I tell you what, this game is such an easy one to pick up and put down, a match here, a match there, and just have stupid amounts of fun. Honestly, Musou games are becoming a not-so-guilty pleasure of mine. The animations and sheer destruction that can result from the abilities in this game hit all the right synapses in my brain. Also, you can get this game on the cheap right now from Amazon. So if you're looking for some good old cheap Musou fun hack and slash, then check Fate Extella Link out. Number 4. Shining Resonance Refrain. Honestly, for the longest time, I was so resistant to the visual novel style to storytelling. But after I recently played Persona 3 Portable, I've done a complete 180, and I'm more than okay with it. Here we see a really good mix between visual novels coupled with some extremely good voice acting. So many familiar voice actors are in this game. The characters all have really unique designs, and their stories are presented in a way that you can sympathize and buy into the motivations of every main character. When it comes to performance, Shining Resonance runs really well on the Switch, and I absolutely love the main city where you'll be spending most of your time. The design and aesthetic to Shining Resonance Refrain is fantasy done right. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it creates a warm and inviting world for you to explore. The combat in Shining Resonance is approachable, and it does this by utilizing a pseudo mix of a stamina bar and unique special attacks for every main character. Throw on top of this some magic abilities, and the whole system works together in a really cohesive way. My favorite thing about the combat in Shining Resonance is that it's approachable. I'm guilty of in the past of gravitating towards games that have extremely in-depth combat systems that can be hard to pick up if you haven't played them in a while. But here we have a system that is so approachable, satisfying, and offers a great amount of depth and control if you want it. Giving the player options is key, and Shining Resonance does it very well. Number 3. Dusk Diver. Look, I should come right out and say it. I really love Tokyo Mirage Sessions' sharp FE Encore. I say that because this game not only shares visual similarities to it, but also when it comes to the atmosphere of the story. It makes no sense, but absolutely is a feel-good game. If you like games like Tokyo Xanadu or Tokyo Mirage, then I definitely think you're going to find a gem here. The game's world feels warm and inviting, and the city it takes place in, please forgive me for the pronunciation, Jingminding, shows the attention to detail the devs went to recreate the Taiwanese city. There is a little bit of a slowdown in the main city, but it's never going to be to a point that I think it'll distract you from the silly moments of fun you're going to have with this game. Now, patches to the game seem to have addressed the majority of concerns players had since this game's first released. Now, I never had such a bad time with the game's performance that it took away from any of my joy with the game, but I do want to go ahead and mention this. I honestly believe people who play this game find they enjoy it far more than they were expecting. If you can grab this game for around $40, I think you're going to be finding some value for your money. And who knows, maybe you can find it even cheaper on eBay. Dusk Diver has a very simple and approachable formula to the brawler hack and slash genre. I don't think anyone's going to have any trouble picking up the combat mechanics in this game. The aesthetic of the game and its mechanics definitely give a nod to the top tier Persona formula. Managing your friendships and allowing them to benefit you in combat means that you never feel as though you're wasting your time. You're always able to enjoy more of the city and the crazy dialogue with the lovable cast of characters. Combat is very fluid and smooth. The game gives you almost all the mechanics right off the bat, but it does ease you into them, and then it just lets you loose to have fun in the game. I am a big fan of the Ease series, and the dodge mechanics from there definitely play a part here because you're rewarded if you can time your dodges appropriately. It's fluid, and it plays really well both locked onto your enemies and also free roaming. This game is perfect for pick up and play sessions, easy to jump right back in without missing a beat. The only thing involving combat I could see as a criticism is there's not a lot of enemy diversity, but it never really bothered me personally. Number 2, Trails of Cold Steel 3. The Trails of series is widely renowned for having absolutely one of the best world building and interconnecting stories and characters in all of RPGs. This is not merely boasting, but an absolute fact. The only bad thing about Trails of Cold Steel 3 on Switch is that the first two are not on Switch. Rean has an impactful hero's journey that starts off in a simple good versus evil story, but quickly devolves into shades of gray and the horrors of war. Having this game on the list could be controversial to fans of the series, because if you know of this series, it is because you have played it and has clinched a solid standing in your favorite RPGs of all time. There are highs and there are gut-wrenching lows in this series. The story is of the highest order, and I cannot recommend this entire series enough to fans of JRPGs. If you're wondering if you can just jump straight into Cold Steel 3, I would highly recommend playing at the very least the first two in the series, if at all possible. However, if you do not have access to a Vita, a PS4, or Steam, then there is a function within the game that gives you an abridged version of the story so far. The stakes in each of these games gets turned up to 11. I did not think there could be a bigger cliffhanger than Cold Steel 1. Then Cold Steel 3 happened. I am dying inside while I wait for the fourth one to come to Switch. This series takes elements of the Persona social to combat relationship ties and allows us JRPG trope fans to form relationships and bonds with our favorite members of the cast. The performance of Cold Steel 3 is kind of a mixed bag, but I do want to give the caveat that I played this game at the time of release, and there were 2 times I had some pretty severe performance issues. However, this did not in any way impede my 70-plus hour journey through the game. Slowdowns in combat never happen, and the performance in dungeons is phenomenal on Switch. The times I had issues is when I had a hard crash about 2/3 the way through the game in a major city, so I do recommend you save often in this one. Falcom are masters of creating unique, genre-defining forms of combat. Cold Steel 3 is in no way an exception. A lot of AA studios will pay homage in their combat mechanics to popular game series. This is never a deal breaker for me, because at the end of the day, if the game is fun to play, then that's a win in my book. Cold Steel 3 genuinely has its own unique form of combat. Without getting too technical, it plays like a turn-based tactical RPG, kind of. You can move your characters around the battlefield, avoid area of effects, and set yourself up for some juicy physical craft abilities to dominate your foes. This combat can be intoxicating to play. The game handles balancing between magic and physical based attacks very well. No character is too far behind all the others so that you feel like you've made a poor decision by bringing them along. Cold Steel games have an extremely large cast of characters, and they all have unique play styles to match their personalities. This is how combat is done correctly in JRPGs. 10 out of 10. Number 1. Astral Chain. Oh, this game. Top of the mountain. Astral Chain is presented like an anime. The story presentation in this game is extremely high action and gives so many nostalgic memories of watching anime from the late 80s and 90s. To give some context, the chapter settings heavily remind me of this one called Blue Gender. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever seen that anime. Anime tangent aside, this game oozes cool. Futuristic cops hunting interdimensional enemies. Sign me up. Replaying story missions is always enticing too. It ensures that you can explore and find collectibles and visual upgrades for your character. Who doesn't want to look better? Truly, Astral Chain hits all the right points for customizing your character and making the true end game, looking cool, more fun than ever before. Astral Chain has been criticized for having some bland, repetitive backgrounds, but I'll tell you this, you cannot criticize this game for its performance. The fast-paced, in-your-face action is never slowing down, and the game's performance did not chug in my playthrough. An absolute blast to play, and the story presentation and the performance go hand in hand. This game has no right running so well on the Switch. At the core of this game, it is an action RPG through and through. The developers, Platinum, have created a sleeper hit, and I truly believe this combat system is unique and will stand the test of time as a staple in the genre. Controlling two characters seems difficult at first, but once you quickly realize the base combat only requires minimal managing of the Legion, and it morphs into this beautiful dance of extra abilities. Your Legion can help you with platforming or even solving difficult crime scenes that require interdimensional aid. The fighting techniques each Legion provides, coupled with unique special abilities, allowed for varied and diverse platforming mixed with fast-paced action. So after all that, if you fall in love with the combat of Astral Chain, then the post-game provides true challenge and obstacles for you to really explore the depths of this combat system. Thank you guys so much for watching, but before we go, I do want to share one honorable mention. It's been very difficult narrowing this list down to just 5. And these aren't necessarily my top picks. However, I'm going to have to share the others in future videos. It was just too fun and too difficult to narrow it down to this. However, my honorable mention is Daemon X Machina. Wait, hold on. Don't click away. Come back, sit down. Please, let me explain. I know this game gets a metric ton of hate for its story presentation. And you know what? All the rumors are true. It's really bad. The hub world is severely lacking, and even in spite of having a sick-looking, personalized mech docked in the middle of it, it's pretty bland. However, I do want to speak in defense of this Armored Core love letter. This game has really, really fun combat. Customizing your mech's appearance, which once again is the true fun, and then outfitting it with different speed enhancements, weapon diversity. This game's combat is top-notch for mech fighting. There is a criminal lack of Gundam and mech games in the world. Daemon X Machina is not perfect, but I do think it's underrated. This game's mission structure is perfect for hit and run play sessions. And even though the final boss is disproportionately harder than the rest of the game, the balancing is really well done outside of that. Guys, if you're a fan of Armored Core and have a desperate need for glorious mech combat in your life, then give this bad boy a shot. But I do have one stipulation. Do not pay $60 for this game. It's currently about $40 for a digital copy, and I think that's a good ballpark for what you want to shoot for in this game. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I had a blast making it, but it was surprisingly difficult to narrow it down to just 5. So I ended up appeasing my brain by saying, I'll make more of these in the future. Can't wait to hear about your favorite underrated games down in the comments. I'd love to check them out. And if I do, I'll make sure to mention your name in that video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like this video if you liked it, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys next time.